Luna Parc is like its own living, breathing being. These projects are meditative for me, gathering objects and creating art with them. I completely get lost in the process. Sometimes like a time warp. The house, it's a work in progress, and literally it will be going on for the rest of my life. After I pass on and I'm in my little crypt, Luna Parc will continue through the generations.
Welcome to another episode of Touring the Most. I'm your host, Jordan Hurt, and today we'll be meeting with artist Ricky Boscarino, who has spent the last 33 years transforming his home into Luna Parc, a personal museum dedicated to his unique life experiences, travels, and passion for art and collecting. Let's go meet Ricky.
Hi, Jordan.
Ah, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Welcome to Luna Parc.
Thank you so
Glad you
much.
made it.
This is amazing. Tell me how it all began.
December of 1988.
Okay.
I was 28 years old. I walked across this little bridge with my realtor. I took one look at this dilapidated cabin. In that instant, I knew that would be the place I would spend the rest of my life. I had an immediate cosmic connection with this property. The following summer was my closing. Fortunately, it didn't need major structural repairs, but lots and lots of TLC. And if you work on something obsessively long enough, something's going to happen. I am an avid collector. I maximized the space that I had, and I thought, now's the time to expand the house. I refer to this as the artichoke portico. Its technique's called ferro cement. It's a combination of rebar, galvanized wire lath, and 3 tons of concrete. The portico functions as the entrance to my Museum of the New Alchemy. This refers to the historic alchemists who believed that all materials originated from gold, and you can go through a series of processes to turn things back into gold. Now, in my analogy, I believe that anything could be the process, and it could be using bottles or a tile, concrete, metal, and in this case, the gold is art. Come on in.
All right, thank you.
Welcome to Luna Parc, my museum of oddities and artifacts. So here we are in my atrium.
Why do you love collecting?
Both my grandfathers were tinkerers, they were woodworkers, they saved all kinds of things to make furniture, and they definitely inherited that gene.
Is there anything that draws you to a certain type of object?
I would say something that is personal. Tweezers from India, ear scrapers from Nepal.
Glass eyeballs.
Glass eyeballs,
Yes.
right. These are eye wash cups. I was attracted to the shape of them. Now there's I think there's 220 in here. Safety in numbers.
Yes.
That's what I say. One of my favorite collections is my flashlight, antique flashlight collection,
Yes.
okay, which happens to be a secret door. One of the highlights of the house is my bathroom.
I mean, it's magnificent.
It is
of
magnificent,
course.
I have to say so myself. When I first bought this house, I used an outhouse. By my early 30s, I had enough of that. 1994 to 1999 was the construction of this bathroom. It was intended to be a temple to the body and its functions. One of my favorite features is in the middle of the room.
Yeah, what is this? It's the shower.
So one of the concepts was that there should be no obstructions and you're completely involved in the environment. There are stones here from 7 continents.
So you're just walking on pieces from all over the world while you're taking a shower. These bedpans, I obviously noticed those.
I started collecting them just because it's an aspect of the body. 4 stained glass windows that I built are depicting from left to right, birth, growth,
Yes.
labor, and death. So a lot of people ask, well, where do all these ideas come from? So I equate my own inspiration with the miracle of fertility. These are ongoing themes all throughout the house and in my artwork. So, Jordan, here is one of the more practical rooms in the house. The kitchen. It's part of the museum as well. You'll notice that the walls are covered in corks. I'm going to say 20,000. I have random piles of corks everywhere. Most of them that people have given me. Sometimes.
I was going to say, so like you haven't like drank all of these bottles of
No,
wine. Like,
no, very few.
People
almost
bring them.
none of them. Yeah, I have
Okay.
barrels and barrels of corks. My enamel colander collection, most of which I use. This one's covered with cobwebs. Obviously, I haven't used that in a while.
So speaking of, I have to ask, like, how do you keep it clean? Who's doing the dusting here? Is it you?
Jordan, if you look really closely, you'll see that nobody really does the cleaning.
I don't believe that.
With all the traffic that comes in here, tourists and visitors, there's always mud and debris being brought into the house. It's part of being able to share the project.
Tell me about when exactly you opened this place up to the public.
Spring, summer, and early fall. It's all done by schedule. Sharing the space is definitely part of the project and what perpetuates me being able to continue the project. Jordan.
Yes, Ricky.
Would you like to help me with the project?
I would love to.
I have been collecting steel can lids for several years now. So literally, I'm covering the ceiling with these cut-off cans. So can you hand me my drill and a couple of those lids right there? I have to be very careful because some of them are like little saw blades.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, and if you can prep another one, or is there another one with a hole?
Yeah, a big one.
Okay, yeah.
I got a big one.
Okay.
I gotta open a new thing of screws. Oh my God.
Keep it moving.
I know.
I try to do at least a couple every day.
Yep.
So,
Slowly chip away at it.
yeah, exactly. This is what happens here. Sometimes it's a little at a time, sometimes it's a lot at a time. But
Right.
you know what? Eventually, it'll get done.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm
It's
not
part of the
worried.
process.
Yep. So I want to show you a room that's really important to me personally because I have been fortunate to have been to about 40 different countries. One of my favorite things to collect is a hat that speaks for the culture, one's role in society, religion perhaps. This is my haul of hats with hats from all over Asia, all over Europe, and Northern Africa. Made this myself, and this is my royal crown.
I love that.
How do I look?
You look amazing.
Thank you. I claim to be the king of Luna Parc. I also claim that I wear many hats in life, so hats are very special to me. So let's go on up to level 3. The stairway actually serves as a gallery also for my portrait painting.
So you paint portraits as well?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of my my repertoire are my portraits.
So multi-talented, Ricky.
Here we are in what I call the Asia room. In this little alcove are artifacts that I've collected from about 15 different Asian countries.
Wow. This flooring is beautiful.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
How did you cut all of this like intricate detail and
Very
match it with other pieces?
Painstaking.
Like, I'm sure.
Everything has to fit together and it's got to be varnished completely. So I acquired these doors at a salvage yard outside of Beijing. It's the largest piece that I've ever been able to acquire and get them home.
How old are these doors? Do you know?
These would be between 150 and 200 years old. Another point of interest is my final resting spot. Someday, many, many years from now, my nonprofit, the foundation, will take over the entire property and get my ashes into this little crypt.
I see. So there's a little living room set up and
Right.
a little poem, it looks like.
My ashes will be placed in there, and then the furniture arranged on top of it. I will be one of the features in the museum.
And the keys?
My original front door keys.
Well, what a very special final resting place.
I can't think of any place I'd rather be,
No?
actually. So, through my beautiful great doors of China, we are entering the ballroom. In this whole concept of this expansion, I wanted one room that was one great room. I call it the ballroom, but the reality is that there's so much stuff in here, there's no room for dancing. However, I've had poetry readings, dinner parties, and it also serves as a gallery for my portrait painting. This is where I'll give lectures to some of the art students and tell them what it's really like to live in a museum.
And what is it really like, by the way? Like, does it ever become overwhelming?
I am in a constant state of overwhelm. That is good. But maybe that's the joy of the project. This happens to be Morse code.
You know Morse code?
I dabble in a little Morse
to get by.
To get by, yes, exactly. This
kind of
is a very quick line from one of my most favorite songs from the 70s.
Okay.
I Got You, Babe. You'll see Morse code in all different parts of the house. There's some in the tile and the mosaic. When students come and I'll tell them it's Morse code and they say, well, what does it mean? And I tell them, I'm not going to tell you, you have to decipher all the mysteries and the conundrums in the house. This was a collaboration with my good friend. His name is Warren Muller, and he builds these giant illuminated sculptures. He refers to them as chandeliers. Everything here either came from outside or in one of my sheds. And this goes all the way from level 3 all the way down
the cantina.
to level 2. Yep.
I also noticed that there are these like openings on certain levels of the house, right? Is there any reasoning behind that?
Yeah, there's 2 reasons. So one is aesthetic. The other thing is practicality. The floors are all radiant heated. So that's the heat source.
So the heat
you can
is
even
rising
feel
up through here.
the heat coming up through the floors.
Very cool.
So how about we segue up to level 4, the nature lab.
All right, let's level up to level 4.
Right here is one of my favorite objects. This skeleton is 200 years old.
This is a real human skeleton?
It's a real human skeleton. She was a woman from Pakistan who came over on a slave boat early 19th century. She lived in servitude her whole life, and then her body was given to science. So I am actually the 3rd custodian of this skeleton, and this is where she will always remain. Now, another interesting artifact I have.
Yeah, just moving right along from the human skeleton, right?
Okay.
Oh, what is this?
Any guesses? Oh, you're not going to guess.
Come on.
My friend's fallopian tubes.
I would never have guessed that.
So she had to have these removed. As soon as she heard these have to come out, she said, these are going to my friend's museum. When I was in high school, I could have gone into entomology, the study of insects, or I could have gone into the arts. Fortunately, my right brain took over and I followed that path, but I still have always retained my interest in biology. So I'd make these complex dioramas using cockroaches as the characters. I would go through real painstaking detail. So this room is kind of my homage to that part of my brain, part of my life. This black squirrel was dead on the street. A car hit it. My friend Megan in Mississippi is a taxidermist, so I froze it, sent it overnight to her, and she asked me what position I wanted. And I said, I want this.
Ballerina.
It's funny, it's ironic, it's kind of creepy, some people are horrified, but you know, that's it. It's a range of emotions that this whole house incites. So level 6 is what I call my thread studio. The process of weaving and sewing, it's very different from everything else I do, which requires pounding metal or mixing concrete or fire. There's something really quite soothing about the process of weaving. It's very therapeutic, it's meditative, and then it's functional. So this is a table runner.
Yes.
All made with some vintage yarn from the 70s. This is like 2 weeks of work.
So another trick up your sleeve.
Exactly.
Right, Ricky?
One of my many hats.
Yes.
Level 7 is just a few steps up. When I built this part of the house, I wanted to exploit the view, and this is my view. Different balconies, you can get a sense of...
step out?
Sure, come on out. This whole garden lights up at night. So that's a chapel that I built for my grandfather, who had witnessed a miracle when he was a young man in Sicily, and he witnessed a crippled boy being healed. And every time he would tell this story, he would start bawling, and he said he would never forget it as long as he lived. So I built the chapel in honor of his memory of the miracle, and the fence of crutches is in honor of the little boy who was healed. There are a couple secret parts of the house, so I'm going to show you. If you promise not to tell.
I promise not to tell.
Okay, so here we are on level 7.
Right, the bedroom.
And here, which looks like a shelf of yarn, happens to be a secret passageway.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's huge.
This goes to levels 8 and 9.
Okay, what happens in 8 and 9?
Don't ask.
Got it.
So here we are at the very top of the house.
Yes.
This is the skywalk, levels 10 and 11. And from here, literally, you can see the entire property.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Pretty great, isn't it? My original concept was that the entire top of the roof would all be moving sculptures.
What's that over there?
That is my atelier, my workshop. Would you like to see it?
I would.
Yeah, sure, let's go on.
Here we are in the Atelier, which is your workshop.
It's like the heartbeat of the whole property and the foundation. Riley's been working with me for several years. She started off as an intern with the foundation. The mission of the foundation is to foster the young people's creativity so that they themselves be self-supporting artists.
So lately I've been doing a lot of ceramic work. He's gonna teach you what you need to know and then get you started so that way you can kind of take off on your own.
This project has gotten way, way bigger than just me. So there's definitely her voice in this project as well as the other interns that are here. So now it's more important that the project continue rather than me having to handle like every single piece.
Yeah.
This is a very unique place, especially when you're used to the area. I grew up here and there's not a lot of attention on the arts and there's not a lot of resources. I had so many opportunities that opened up that I wouldn't have been able to experience if we didn't have places like this. So I think having artists who are focused on not only supporting their own work but also creating a community for the arts is what's the most important and what makes this place.
So special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being that I know that I will never be a father, I feel like I can be sort of like a role model to the generation that's going to literally inherit the foundation to operate. Luna Parc is a museum of the oddities and the artwork for education for the future.